Today we're going to be restoring the chrome on some pot metal or Mazac parts. All we know is this is a poor quality metal and we've got our work cut out to restore it. These items are off a 1948 Oldsmobile. Now, we restored the front bumper of this car for the customer. A video of that is going to pop up a link about there, so you can take a look at that. But we're going to crack on with these and we're going to show you how, despite the poor material, we're going to do the best we can with what we've been given. You can see how heavily pitted they are. This isn't exactly corrosion, it's actually the alloy itself breaking down. It does make it a real difficult job, but as these are over 75 years old and they're unobtainable, we're going to have to carry on. First of all, we book them in and we take a picture, and that goes round the workshop with the job. First thing we've got to do is get this back to bare metal. So we're going to have to get some hooks and some copper wires and get them wired up. When you're stripping the plating off, you can actually wrap it round a piece of work, but you can't do that when you're plating, or else it would leave a dirty great wire mark. And into the stripping tank we go. This is mainly sulfuric acid, and what we're doing is we're actually reversing the process and plating the existing plating off. It's very important that you don't overstrip parts, and especially important with these pot metal or die-cast zinc parts, because they will actually completely dissolve in acid if you leave them in too long. So a rinse off in some clean water to get rid of any acid, and then we can hang these up to dry. Here are the parts after they've dried off. We're in the polishing shop for the first time, so time to get the gloves on. What we're doing here is we're trying to polish out as much of the pitting as is possible. It's not an easy job on items like this, because there's only a certain amount of thickness in the casting to go at, and also you don't want to be distorting the shape. These abrasive belts remove material quickly. You can actually see the dust coming off, which is the metal being removed. It's a case of moving methodically around the item and trying to polish it as evenly as possible. Now we're going to move on to some different tools. These are so we can get into some of those curved recesses. these tools are actually shaped and made from felt, and then they're dressed up with an abrasive, just like this. While that dries, we're going to have to put another tool on. You need a small arsenal of different types of tools in order to get these jobs done. You need a tool for all the different recesses and shapes. This is a type of flat wheel that we're using, which is very good for getting into deeply recessed areas because it's got some flexibility. Let's speed this section up because it's going to take quite a long time. So this is the first polishing process done. It's going to be ready for copper plating. Before these go in for plating, we're going to do an extra step. What we're doing here is we're using a laser to clean the surface. Now what this is for, this material quite often can have a chalky residue, and if you don't get it out completely, then what will happen is you'll have problems with it plating, and it might blister, and there's all sorts of things that can go wrong with it. And as these were particularly bad, these are going to need any extra bit of help they can get to remove those oxides. Now we're in the plating shop. We're going to need to wire all of these parts up onto copper wires. The reason that we have to use copper wires is that we've got to pass an electric current through it. That's why it's called electroplating. You have to be very careful how you wire it up, because if it touches any of the areas that are seen, then you're going to end up with a wire mark that's going to look unsightly. off into the cleaner tank. Here we're going to give it a good scrub. That's to remove any oil, dirt, polishing compounds, all of that, because it's got to be super clean so that it can be plated. Manual cleaning is not good enough. What we've got to do is actually pass an electric current through it, and what's happening here is this is blasting any oxides from the surface, because they will prevent the plating from bonding properly. Now we're going through our counterflow rinse system, so we're going from dirty water to progressively cleaner water, and then into that special dilute acid you saw in the blue barrel. And there it's gone into the first copper plating process. We have to use a layer of cyanide based copper. A nice salmon pink colour shows you that it's done. We have to put this layer of cyanide copper on because the high build copper that we're going to use is acid based, and this layer protects it from the acid solution while it begins to plate. So here we go into the acid copper. It's going to be in here for a couple of hours to get a nice coating. Now the high build copper's on, that gives us something that we can do some more polishing and some more work to get as good a job as we're able. Now we're back in the polishing shop again, and we're going to have to polish this copper up till it's a mirror. First of all, we're going round the edges and taking the excess build up from round edges, etc. We want to refine the surface a bit more so that it's ready for mopping. Here we're using a felt that's dressed up with some polishing compound, and we can get into those recesses. So we're doing all the fiddly bits first here. Now this is what's known as an airflow mop. They're very quick at shining things up, however they're quite snatchy, so really for professional use only. And there we are, ready for plating. These have already been copper plated and mopped, and they're now ready for the final stage of plating, which is going to be applying the nickel and the chrome. These are all being cleaned again using the same method last time. So soapy cleaner, then into the electric cleaner. They're going to go through the same rinse system again. to progressively clean up water. Then it's into the nickel tank. Now, once the power's set, these are going to get about an hour of plating so you can get a nice thickness to the coating. And there they are. When they come out, they almost look finished. But they've still got to go through the chrome. So time for another swill. And into the chrome. Once the chrome solution is rinsed off, then these are going to be ready for the water to be dried off and inspected. Now these are dry, we can take them off the wires. And it's time to give them a wipe down with some metal polish. This is to remove any watermarks, finger marks that may be on there. This way we can inspect them. And here we are. Here's the finished article. We've not tried to get perfection. There's still going to be some bits of pitting in there, but look what they used to look like. They're as good as we can get. At the end of the day, we've been working with 75-year-old materials.